Hi, I'm back. Nice to see you again. So, oops, I can't see you, can I? I can only have to pretend. But you can see me, right? In any case, today's book is Imagine by Juan Felipe Herrera, who is a poet and a teacher and a dad, probably a grandfather too. And he's discovered the special gift that he has, and he's sharing it with the world. Let's read. Imagine, written by Juan Felipe Herrera, illustrated by Lauren Castillo. Have you ever imagined who you might be when you grow up? When Juan Felipe was very young, he picked flowers, helped his mama feed the chickens, slept under the starry sky, and learned to say goodbye to his friends each time his migrant family moved on. When he grew up, Juan Felipe Herrera became a poet. If I picked chamomile flowers as a child in the windy fields and whispered to their fuzzy faces, imagine. If I let tadpoles swim across my hands in the wavy creek, imagine. If I jumped up high into my papi's army truck and left our village of farm workers and waved adios to my amiguitos, imagine. If I let the stars at night paint my blanket with milky light, with shapes of hungry birds, while I slept outside. Imagine what you could do. If I helped Mama feed the hopping chickens and catch the crazy turkey in the front yard of our new village. Imagine if I walked through the evening forest at the top of a mountain with a silvery bucket to fetch water from the next town. Imagine if I moved to the winding city of tall, bending buildings and skipped to a new concrete school I had never seen. Imagine if I opened my classroom's wooden door, not knowing how to read or speak in English. Imagine if I practice spelling words in English by saying them in Spanish, like pencil for pencil. Imagine if I collected gooey and sticky ink pens because I loved how the ink flowed like tiny rivers across soft paper. Imagine if I grabbed a handful of words I had never heard and sprinkled them over a paragraph so I could write a magnificent story. Imagine if I stood up in a school far away from where I lived and sang for the first time in front of class. Imagine if I started to write a poem on a skinny paper pad after school as I walked on the wide sidewalk and then finished it when I got home. Imagine if I picked up my honey-colored guitar and called out my poem every day until it turned into a song. Imagine if I gathered many words and many more songs with both of my hands and let them fly over my mesa and turned them into a book of poems. Imagine if I stood up wearing a robe in front of my familia and many more on the high steps of the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and read out loud and signed my poetry book like this: Poet Laureate of the United States of America. Imagine what you could do. The end.
So, what on earth is a poet laureate? Well, obviously it's a poet, which means somebody who writes poems, and it's an honor awarded to someone, usually like a government, like of the United States, the Library of Congress in the United States, or a state government, or a group, and you pick somebody to say, okay, you're a poet laureate, and they give you certain jobs to do. The poet laureate in the United States, their job for each year that they are the poet laureate is to promote poetry, to go around and talk to people and have projects and do things to get people to be interested in poetry.
So did you notice that the book Imagine was really kind of like a poem itself, even though it was a picture book, right?
So here's one of the poems that Mr. Herrera has written. Jackrabbits, green onions, and witches stew. $3 and upside down lemons, and you. Dinky planet on a skateboard of dynamite. Oh, what to do? Chili peppers, Mrs. Oops. Dr. What? Mr. Space Station unscrewed. The Red Book of Ants says you better run. No siree, LOL, blowing my bubble gum, son. The end. And you're going, what? What on earth does he mean? Well, a boy called Ethan, who was studying poems in his class at school in 6th grade, wrote to Mr. Herrera when he was poet laureate and said, I really like the poem, but it's strange. What does it mean? And you'll laugh. They kept the letter that Mr. Herrera wrote back to Ethan, and he said, so good to hear from you. And he goes on, but he said, something told me that you would like it. I guess that's one of the reasons I wrote it. When I put certain words together in one sentence that usually do not go together, like jackrabbits and green onions, I get very excited and inspired, like scientists maybe when they stir new chemicals into each other to see what is going to happen, or when they're looking for a new way to cure a disease. For me, one of the most enjoyable things about writing poetry is to create new things and to play with words as if I was in a giant toy store. That's why I wrote the poem. What words can I use that will tickle minds and bellies? Those were the thoughts that I had just as I was about to write. A secret. I love to use words in a poem that I have never used before. Jackrabbits, green onions, or witches, or stew. So it was about time I put those words on the same sheet of paper. And there you go. So, what's your special gift? What are you going to do and share with the world? You know, God made you so special. He loves you so much. He made you unique, remember? And He's just waiting to see, what are you going to do? Who are you going to be? It's exciting, huh? Always remember, He loves you so much, and He wants to see, what are you going to do? Okay? See you next week.
Jackrabbits, green onions, and witch's stew. $3. And upside-down lemons. And you. Dinky Planet on a skateboard of dynamite. Oh, what to do? Chili peppers. Mrs. Oops, Dr. Watt, Mr. Space Station unscrewed. The Red Book of Ants says you better run. No siree, LOL, blowing my bubble gum. Son.